अस्सलाम वालेकुम ख़वातीन और हज़रात, मेरा नाम जैद कुंदन है और आप देख रहे हैं यूट्यूब पॉडकास्ट थॉट ऑन टेप। पॉडकास्ट की सीरीज़ कंटिन्यू है और आज मेरे साथ बहुत ही डिस्टिंग्विश गेस्ट मौजूद हैं दराज पाकिस्तान से एंड दराज श्रीलंका से एज़ वेल। कौशाल मेंडिस इज़ द CHRO, चीफ ह्यूमन रिसोर्स ऑफिसर. He is very distinguished guest today with me. I would like to welcome Kaushal. Thank you very much for joining the show, and we are honored to have you with us.
Thanks for the invitation, Sid. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Nice, Sisi. Kaushal, we will be starting with multiple topics we have. I would like to know your journey about right from your career till Daraz, how you achieve things.
Okay. So, Sid, I started about 20 years back in HR. I started as a very junior HR employee in a factory where they cut and polish diamonds. Then I moved into plastics. Then I moved into apparels, where I worked in the Sri Lanka's largest apparel exporter. Then I worked with a multinational organization, British American Tobacco, DHL Express, then Pizza Hut Sri Lanka, and post that Daraz. So that's my career journey had been. So multiple industries, multiple
diverse
exposures,
experience you have
very
grown.
diverse experiences.
So how you feel about the e-commerce industry, and Daraz is a very big giant in e-commerce, especially in South Asia, including Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh as well. So what is your experience about culture, strategy, and people management, people culture?
This is a very broad question, yet e-commerce is a very beautiful place to be, because that's going to be the future. Over the past years, if you look at the global e-commerce adoption, that is on an upward trend. If you look at the South Asian context, I think there's a lot of room for the e-commerce industry to grow. So we are blessed with our network, because we are a 100% owned company by Alibaba. So we have the learnings coming from Alibaba. I think in terms of e-commerce, the Sri Lankan context, the Pakistan context, what we need to do is we need to penetrate into the hearts and minds of the population. If you look at the e-commerce adoption in these countries, I think still it is relatively at a lower scale.
Exactly.
But there's huge potential for us to grow. In terms of comparing and contrasting my experience in the organizations where I worked before versus my experience with Daraz is very different, because Daraz is a very fast-paced organization. It's very dynamic, right? If I may say that planning to execution in a traditional organization would take, let's say, 2 months. In this fast-paced, tech-based organizations, e-commerce organizations, probably it is about 2 days, right? You think, you act now. So the level of dynamism is at its core, is at its forefront. So that's the beauty of this. So we've got a very young workforce who's really adaptable and who's ready to win these challenges in this fast-paced organization. So that's how we have crafted the culture within Daraz, which is very unique, and it's a fun and great place to be.
Oh, very nice. Daraz is a very giant conglomerate in this South Asia. So we know Daraz is increasingly spreading its footprints over the world. I would like to know basically how Daraz infrastructure is happening in terms of employability, maybe in terms of departments, and the infrastructure like
Okay.
operational infrastructure or maybe functional infrastructure.
So in terms of operation, that we have vertical structures, right? So the core setup would be, you have your commercial setup as well as your logistics setups, whereas your commercial setup is your front end, where they will go engage with the sellers and vendors. So that is how we built a marketplace.
Commercial setup.
Sorry.
Exactly, it is commercial setup.
It's commercial setup,
Okay,
right?
vendors and the sellers.
Vendors and the sellers, right? So that's how we build the marketplace, because our purpose is to build communities, so strengthen communities, empowering communities through the power of commerce. So that's how we do the forward integration, where we go engage the sellers and get them on board to the Daraz marketplace
To come and join the selling
come and join the
business.
selling operation. Then we have a robust logistics framework which will ensure that we connect the buyer, the customer, and the seller, so that we have a very solid logistics frameworks where we, from a regional context, that we have aligned the global best practices. We ensure the best level of service, best level of experience to our customers, and we've got many other support functions that who will ensure this journey is a smooth one.
Okay, but as far as you mentioned the commercial and the functional system structure, infrastructure of Daraz, here a lot of spaces inside these, right? We can say like specifically if we can take logistics, just take a logistics. So there are a lot of HR challenges may be happening inside the strategy. So how you guys are dealing with these challenges and managing these things across the board?
In terms of the HR challenges, irrespective of the domain you are in, whether you are in a commercial space or whether you are in a logistics space, the challenges are there. The challenges will have a greater range of challenges depending on the domain where you work. But one of the biggest challenges right now what we face is how to attract the right talent.
Exactly.
Right? Irrespective of the domain where you work, how to attract the right talent, and also how to retain them with you, how to take them through the journey of the organizational success, the organizational growth. So that becomes a very big challenge. Also, it is contributed with a range of socio-economic pressures, at the same time the generational pressures. If you look at our parents' era, for them, they will join an organization till their retirement, they will serve the same organization. But things have significantly changed over the past years, where that we are now working with Gen Zs. They're looking at flexibility, adaptability, the purpose. So they want to change jobs. They really don't want to look at stability. So I think attracting, developing, and retaining employees will be one of the core challenges where we face as HR professionals, irrespective of the domains we operate.
All right. As far Daraz is operating its own logistics apart from the commercial activity, selling activity. So when it comes to logistics, total operation depends on the deliveries of the parcels, right? So I want to know here how the logistics services is sustainable yet today through these deliveries, like a deliver boys are there, how you guys are retaining these boys or these guys,
Okay.
the delivery guys, I mean,
Sure.
including their remuneration, their facilities, their employability, their turnover, and all such things.
Okay. So in terms of attracting and retaining our delivery heroes, we call them delivery heroes because if not for them, right? If not for them, that we won't be able to run this giant organization.
Exactly, they are like a backbone of the system.
They are the backbone of the system, because irrespective of whether it's sun, rain, dust or wind,
exactly,
they take that pressure. And
they have to put their delivery on time as well.
Time,
the big pressure.
It's a big pressure. So that they take that challenge and they ensure a greater deal of customer satisfaction. So we firmly believe, because of these delivery heroes only, that the sustenance of the organization is in place. So what we do is that we always give them the sense of security, the sense of pride for working for Daraz. We always give them the sense of purpose, because they are not only delivering a package, they are becoming a part of empowering the communities, right? Because Daraz's vision, Daraz's passion is to empower communities through the power of commerce. So a delivery rider is not just a delivery rider that who delivers a package to a customer. They become a part of this bigger purpose, and that is what most of the people are looking at. And also we pay them a very competitive pay.
Okay.
So that comprises with your base pay. At the same time, it comprises with the incentives, your productivity incentives, which is coupled up with them, and also a range of other benefits, such as your insurance, such as the other welfare activities that the company is providing them, for them to feel comfortable about working for a larger brand, for a larger organization. And also the warmth of leadership, the understanding of the leadership, a leadership who understands the pain, the leadership who understands their challenges and take necessary action then and there. So that's a level of empowerment, that's a level of thinking behind managing a large logistical workforce.
All right. As Daraz is a giant in the South Asia, again, the largest e-commerce platform, I believe. Second one, I don't know. As the largest platform, there is a big challenge of diversity and inclusion, including Pakistan and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and everywhere. So, specifically in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan, how you guys are supposed to manage these blend of diversity and inclusion
Okay.
in
So-
employability?
Okay. In terms of employment, DEI stands very closer to us, close to our hearts. So right now, we are at the I would say the early stage of implementing DEI. So as an entry point, what Daraz has done is we've looked at the gender diversity as a starting point, right?
All right.
How best we can include female employees, providing equal opportunities for both males and females, not only in the management positions but all across your organizational hierarchy. We're proud to say that we have delivery heroes who are females, like who take the challenge and who work shoulder to shoulder with the male delivery heroes, and to ensure that to drive a greater sense of customer satisfaction. So this is the starting point, but we also don't want to limit DEI activities only to the gender diversity, but we also would love to explore opportunities in terms of looking at your ability, diversity in terms of abilities, diversities in terms of the racial diversities, your religious diversities. I mean that's the way to go. But right now, I think we've taken a proper start, and DEI is very close to our hearts.
All right. I remember one thing in November 11, Daraz 11, the biggest sale of Daraz, what I can say. So it happens in Pakistan. I don't know. It
happens in all Daraz markets
throughout the way.
Yes.
So, including this, I see a big pressure on the selling and purchasing in Daraz and throughout the e-commerce. So, is there any space? Is there any apart from these challenges? Is there any separate challenge you can see or you face in the 11 sale?
Okay. So
as a big occasion of Daraz, right?
It's a big occasion. It's like festivity in Daraz, right? So it's a point of celebration because, as I told you, Daraz is comprised of youth, mostly youth, right? Our average age
millennials.
Is millennials.
Or Gen Z.
I think Gen Zs.
Gen Z.
It's Gen Zs. Our average age stands in the mid-20s. So in that case, all these employees are driven by a great sense of accomplishment, right? For us, planning this great festivity and ensuring that we drive the sale, we set records year after year, is part of a big accomplishment. So that has become part of our culture. That is something what we look forward to every year. So everyone is not putting only their 100%, they will put their 200% to ensure that we do a better Gara every year, irrespective of the market where you operate. And how we do that is um, everyone, including leadership to all the way up to your delivery rider, that we become a team of one, that everyone will contribute their ideas, everyone will contribute their domain expertise to make it a better process. For an example, in Pakistan, you wouldn't believe that the entire leadership team, just before Gara, they visit each and every hub, and they speak to the riders, they speak to the operational staff, they keep motivating them and to say, hey, look here, that this is the biggest festivity of Daraz, so let's get together as one team and let's conquer the challenge. So it's part of our culture, it's part of our DNA. And it is not an easy task because your volumes will be multifolded, so as that you need to strengthen your resourcing strategy. It's not just resourcing that you got to train them.
It's beyond normal.
It's beyond normal, right? In that case, everyone would need to put their 200% to ensure that it's a seamless exercise. And all these years, it had been a great success. And I think the passion of people, how energetic they are, how passionate they are, how passionately how passionately they own this challenge is at key to win this challenge over the years.
Are there any special incentives for the participants of Gyara Gyara?
Yes, based on different years, different challenges, that we have flexible reward schemes. So every year we will review our reward schemes and place them accordingly.
As a chief head of human resource in Daraz, there are a lot of challenges, as you have discussed, you've mentioned a lot. There is a big issue of penetration of e-commerce. E-commerce is yet not penetrated in Pakistan as well. We know there is only 2% of e-commerce penetrated yet today.
Okay.
And the 98% is still physical retail, right? So the penetration of e-commerce is the real business of Daraz and e-commerce everywhere. So are you guys, or any strategy in Daraz, is pushing any special activities to penetration of e-commerce, of penetration of a smartphone in the people?
Okay. So we, quite interestingly, we had a nice study in Sri Lanka. I think we haven't done it in Pakistan, but in Sri Lanka, when we conducted this study to understand the landscape of e-commerce in the South Asian context, especially in the Sri Lankan context, what we realized was the biggest challenge for people not to get into e-commerce is the lack of awareness. Right. One is the lack of awareness on the e-commerce platforms. Number two, the lack of awareness in terms of the technological landscape, as you correctly mentioned. And then the lack of trust, right? Because some people have the speculations. Some people, they still prefer to go to a physical store. They have the touch and feel.
Actually, when it comes to e-commerce and online buying and online shopping, so there is a lack of physical touch.
Exactly. So that's what some people are skeptical in terms of walking into e-commerce. So what we are starting is we have already started ensuring a greater level of awareness among the communities, telling them the opportunities that they have they have using e-commerce. For an example, let's say the efficiencies a person could have, right? The level of options they have. For example, if you walk into a physical store, that you'll have a limited range. But exactly. When you make use of e-commerce, you'll have a very limitless options where you can compare. It could be the product parameters, or it could be a pricing parameters. It gives you limitless opportunities.
Exactly.
But the only barrier is the technological know-how and the level of awareness. So what we do is that in Sri Lanka, how we've started is that we have started engaging communities, student communities, at the same time different communities using the provincial frameworks, so that we go to these communities and talk about the use of e-commerce. It is not only to become a customer of e-commerce, but also for them to explore livelihood using e-commerce, because anyone could join Daraz as a seller and make use of the boundless opportunities an e-commerce platform could provide them.
So, as a CHR, or Chief Human Resource Officer at Daraz, giant biggest e-commerce platform in Daraz, what do you think about? And I would love if you give me with examples that how the employees of Daraz are managing their work-life balance.
Okay, so I think work-life balance is at the forefront of the modern generations, right? You can't stick to a time-bound operation, especially in a dynamic industry where we are in a dynamic industry of e-commerce. So in that case, what we need to see is what is the right level of work commitment, the right level of inputs required for the e-commerce industry. At the same time, what would work well with the generations who work with us, what will work well with the generations that who will walk into our workforce into the future. So we have ensured a very flexible work arrangement for our employees, right? We got flexi hours. It's not that we are rigid to say, hey, look at that, you got to walk in at 8:30 and you need to leave at 5:30. So what we believe in is it's not only the quantum of work, but it's a quality of work, right?
Exactly.
So we have provided them the flexibility in terms of picking their work hours, right? Ensuring that they are available whenever it is required. It could be a physical meeting, it could be a virtual meeting, but that work hours, the flexibility has been given.
Right.
And also we have gone to the extent of, Friday is a work from home day at Daraz. The employees who work in the corporate office, they can always pick Friday either to work from office or work from home. That's a greater level of flexibility that we've given. And being a regional organization, our employees do work not only with Pakistan context, they work with people who are in Singapore, could be in China, could be Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Dubai, or wherever. And based on the time frames where they work, that we've given them that flexibility to pick the working hours, and also not bound by the number of hours they spend, but to use productive time, so that even with a lesser time, if they deliver the required amount of work, I think that's what we are looking at. But we are lucky, we are so blessed to have the Darazians who join the Daraz family, that who always cherish their experiences, who cherish their time with Daraz, because it's not, for most of these people, it's not simply a job, it's a culture for them, right?
Okay.
So they believe they believe that they belong to the family of Daraz. They believe that they have a greater purpose. It's not only a job that which gives them a paycheck at the end of the month, but always gives them challenges, always gives them the sense of accomplishment, and also gives them the larger purpose where they build a strong community in the countries where we operate.
Having such a larger community, including the diverse nations and diverse people around the globe, how the culture is establishing in the e-commerce segment in your organization?
Okay, so we are at a very distinct juncture of this transformation, where nowadays we have more and more Gen Zs walk into the workforce, whereas the line managers could be millennials, right? So we have the
Right.
generational gap taking place. But whatever said and done, what we always appreciate is that we recognize the requirements, the aspirations of our workforce, and we cater to those. We are driven by a set of values, and so we are value driven, and we always try to communicate transparently and truthfully, and more frequently to our employees, because your frequent communication to employees makes them aware about what is happening, right? And also the moment they feel that you are truthful and you're transparent about what is happening, there's a greater sense of understanding, there's a greater sense of collaboration, cohesion that you build. I think those are the fundamental pillars of our success. We always try to give them the level of assurance, the level of security, so that they're sure of, they're safe in the context where they work. So that's how we built the trust, which is again a cornerstone of success.
As you have mentioned about the most of the employee is a mix and blend of Gen Z and the millennials, right? So again, I think the challenge is more bigger, far bigger, of the retention of these guys. So is there any separate entity? Is there any separate challenge and separate strategy to deal with such challenges?
Sure. Very nice question, because um, nowadays people do swap jobs like very
Exactly.
often, right? So, and what we felt is there has to be a purpose. Like we always call it, what is in it for me, right? So everyone would think, okay, that I work for this ABCD organization, so what is in it for me, right? So we need to deliver. But we at Daraz, we as far as that, we've given very nice, very spacious, very collaborative workspaces for our employees, right? So I think that is something, a basic necessity that what we've given. But we also in the firm believe that the billiard tables or the nice offices is not the only thing which is required by employees, right? They want a greater purpose. They want something big in their life. So what we believe is that, okay, we want to attract the right talent, right? We will not settle for less, that we always go hunt for the best talent in the market. And when we get the best talent in the market, what are we going to give them, right? We want to give them the development, right? The person who join in Daraz today will leave Daraz when no, not maybe in the same position, that they will groom themselves up. Their growth in Daraz will be pretty fast, pretty solid, because they will operate in a multinational context. They will always get engaged with their stakeholders in other markets, always challenge and ensure that they do well. So as an organization, what we firmly believe is that we want to, always identify our high potential talent and ensure that we develop them, we groom them, we give them the critical experiences. So through coaching, through mentoring, and could be with cross-country exposures, so that they have something to look forward to. They have something where they will not get elsewhere. So that is how we will always, having a great proposition in terms of attracting best talent and retaining them through giving them ample development opportunities.
Okay, let's not forget the competition market in digitals. Like in Pakistan, there are a lot of e-commerce platforms apart from Daraz. Although Daraz is the biggest platform in Pakistan, like in Amazon. Amazon is not in Pakistan, but Daraz is the Amazon of Pakistan, right? After Daraz, there are others like Telemart and ShopHive and iShopping and others, right? So in Sri Lanka, I would like to know how competition is dealing
So Sri Lanka, again, the leader in e-commerce is Daraz.
still.
Yeah, it's the leader in e-commerce is Daraz. What happens is, as you correctly said, there are small players that who will enter into the market on a daily basis. But how Daraz differentiates us is the trust, right? Is the Daraz gives you the best deal, right? No one will be able to go find a better deal in any other platform, whereas Daraz will give you the best deal and ensure with that best deal you get the best quality, you get the best after sales experience, you get the best delivery experience. So it's not only the product, but you'll get a superior product at a very good price and also with a very solid customer experience. That's how we differentiate ourselves and coping up with the competition.
And what about in Pakistan?
In Pakistan, that's the same strategy we use, because we are a regional organization. So it's all about ensuring great customer moments.
Last but not the least, I should talk about the corporate social responsibility, and I always used to talk about it. So, what are the community services or maybe CSR activities conducted by Daraz throughout?
Daraz itself is a community service,
Exactly.
right? Because Daraz itself, why I say Daraz itself is a community service, why I say it is because we help people to reach to a unlimited amount of customers. Like for an example, if you have a housewife that who's into a cottage industry, if that person was to operate in the traditional trade, there will be limitations. But let's say what we do is that we always believe that building community is our social responsibility. So we go out to the communities that we get them engaged. So we have different frameworks to engage communities and get them on board the system. It's not only that we onboard a seller, but we help them to grow better by helping these small scale vendors to grow better, bigger, and larger. It ensures that there's a bigger value chain built with them, right? So apart from that, we engage in other corporate social responsibilities in different areas of work. But I think in terms of a thematic CSR, what we want to do is that we need to help communities to grow. So there's a separate division in Daraz who looks at the CSR aspect. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. One thing I remember as a, I don't know, as a CSR or maybe as a different part, as a commercial activity, apart from commercial activity, like vendor, merchant, seller, apart from this, there is an option in the university, Daraz University.
Yeah.
What does it contribute in the system?
Okay, so Daraz University is again it's a collection of materials where, now for an example, let's say if someone joins Daraz as a seller, right?
Okay.
So Daraz University gives you in and out knowledge to grow your sale in the platform, right?
Okay.
It has different modules where you will understand your basics and from the way like how to maximize your selling experience in Daraz. So it's anyone can access this the moment you become a seller. So that's a seller incubation process what we do. It's not that you just join a platform, but when you go through the Daraz University, it gives you materials, it gives you learnings, it gives you tips to become better on the platform so that you can grow your business exponentially.
All right. Thank you very much, Kaushal Mandis. I love this podcast and this conversation. We have got very different insights and knowledge. Thank you very much. We will conclude.
Thank you very much.